I'm a convert of 6 months. I don't have any Muslims in my family. Or my sister, she said something very dumb about grooming gangs and asking me to, apologize for it. What would be your advice on how much I should tolerate this before I start?
When it comes to family, usually the best approach is...
Has Jimmy ever taken his parents or his elders to a mosque or anything like this?
No, I haven't. I think it'd be a bit too radical for them.
There are decades worth of propaganda that people have grown up with, and Allah blessed you to Islam, but there may well have been a time, Jimmy, that you yourself may have had very negative thoughts about this religion of Islam and Muslims, right?
I'm a convert of 6 months. I was a Christian for almost 50 years, you may recall. And
yes.
I don't have any this is actually my issue. I don't have any Muslims in my family or around me at all. So I must admit, I do rely on you very, very fine gentlemen, to help out with advice and a bit of guidance. So I really do appreciate it. I'll tell you what my dilemma is. So I live with family. They're not Muslims. I have tried to give a good representation of Islam and being a Muslim, and it has actually gone down well, but they're a bit of a lost cause at the moment. They're too stuck in their ways. They want to drink their alcohol and eat their pork and follow their own rules in life, and I'm not going to pressure them into converting, because I think that would be a mistake, and it wouldn't work. So on a sort of live and let live basis, they drink alcohol, they eat pork. That existed in our home before I converted, so I let them get on with it. I don't do it, they don't expect me to, so that I can live with. But what I do have sometimes is family who will try and sow doubts, will make the odd nasty comment, come out with a stupid stereotype. My sister, who I'm close to, I love a lot, but she said something very dumb recently about grooming gangs, and I even turned to her and said, "You should know better than that." What she was listening to, asking me to explain it and apologize for it and all this sort of business. And where my dilemma is I can understand that Satan is giving them these ideas because they're resisting Islam completely. So they're projecting it on me, oh, you have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, because I get up at 4 a.m. to do Fajr prayers, and they say, well, I'm not going to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I said, look, well, that's up to you. But it's the fact that these comments are coming out. I realize that they're trying to sow doubt. It isn't going to work with me. My faith is absolutely solid. The best decision I ever made was becoming Muslim. But I wanted to ask your advice on how much I should tolerate this, because what I do at the moment is, if there are too many silly, irritating and kind of anti-Islamic, because they're often cryptic, but anti-Islamic comments, I just sort of apologize, leave the room, say I've got a job to do or book to read or do some housework, and I just take myself out of it. But that's my dilemma, what would be your advice on how much I should tolerate this before I start arguing back, or even to the extremity of threatening to live somewhere else? I don't want to do that, but the thought had crossed my mind. I hope that all makes sense. Sorry for the lengthy
it makes perfect sense, Jimmy, and I think it's a very good question in a sense that it is something that not just yourself, but perhaps I would say even most reverts go through, even if it's not their immediate families, but extended families or friends. Almost, I think, without exception, you're going to find people that you've associated with, whether family or friends, that some of them are going to have a very, very negative view of Islam and of you converting to Islam as well. So it's a very poignant question, and because it requires the highest level of wisdom to answer it, I'm going to defer to Dr. Imran to inshallah start, and inshallah ta'ala, if I can add anything that's left, then I'll add it at the end. Dr. Imran, bismillah.
Bismillah. Well, maybe I can try. You said highest level of wisdom, but there's no one available for that, so let's try and do our best. So I think first of all, my heart goes out to Brother Jimmy. I know it must be difficult to be in that scenario, because, like you said, you're close to your sister, you're close to your members of your family, and when the people that are close to you say things that are hurtful, it can be quite difficult to deal with that, particularly on a sustained basis. So, may Allah make things easy for you. I know that's tough to deal with. But I think that there's a couple of things, and you know these things already. So what I'm going to tell you isn't new. It's just maybe an emphasizing the approach that you're already taking. The way you'd respond to the person depends a lot on your relationship to them. So, for example, if they're an elder, like a parent or an uncle or an aunt, something like this, then when it comes to family, usually the best approach is the patience and forbearance. And then if time allows, or it's not going to cause some sort of difficulty in terms of degrading the relationship, particularly to the level where you're no longer going to be interacting, then maybe saying, I'm really surprised you're saying that, coming from a perspective of not directly challenging the information, but saying that I'm surprised you would think that I would join any group that does X, Y, Z, whatever that might be they're referring to. So what you then do is you sort of just use your relationship and your past relationship to reassure them that, me, I wouldn't do anything that's associated with something like this, and therefore this information is not associated with what I'm associating myself with. So that's one approach. When it comes to your siblings, I mean, your sister, I don't know what the age differences might be, but then I think the approach that you've used already is quite effective in saying, you should know better than this, because you can be a bit more direct with your siblings. And what can sometimes happen is that there's two outcomes of that. One is it may lead to a conversation. If it's a heated one, then always try and de-escalate and say, look, maybe now is not a good time, but we can talk about this. But I really care about you, and I care about your opinion of me and what I do. And so, if you want to ask questions, go ahead, but please don't listen to this misinformation. And underlying all of these is basically this concept of being patient in the face of difficulty, because the hardest people to give dawah to, or to even convince of your position, are family members. And this really goes for everyone, particularly the converts and the reverts. But actually, they're very hard to convince, and so directly interacting or debating with them is never a good tactic. So a couple of suggestions for the elders, and then for the siblings. What are your thoughts, Brother Jimmy?
Thank you, Dr. Imran. Yeah, they're very good suggestions. I've tried to be patient, and what I'm pleased at is that you're essentially telling me to continue to be patient, because I have mentioned before to Brother Abbas that sometimes I use Shake Google because I'm on my own, and it's one way of looking up ideas and suggestions. And of course, some of the suggestions on there are very harsh. Tell your family to go jump in the lake, walk out, move out. I mean, I live with my father, who's elderly, and he's extremely dependent on me. Now, he's not nasty or unpleasant, but again, as I said, from time to time, there are the digs, there are the comments, there are the misconceptions, and I'm just patient with him. I just say, look, Dad, that's not how we do things, or Dad, you've got the wrong idea about Islam. This is how we do it. And then if he persists, I'll say, look, I've actually said to him, look, here's a book, here's a leaflet, have a read in your own time if you want to know more, and left it at that. So I think I'll go along with your suggestion of continuing patience. Certainly with my parents. My mother's still alive, but she lives somewhere else, and she's also got the kind of well-meaning but harmful misconceptions, where it's almost the kind of passive aggressive of, oh, don't you do this, and doesn't jihad mean that, and aren't you allowed to have 10 million wives, as much as you like, and it's put in this sort of passive aggressive fashion of acting all innocent, but it's actually quite a dig at Islam, and a stereotype or an outright bit of prejudice. And so I just be patient and say, no, that's not what we do. No, this is what our Prophet, peace be upon him, taught us. And I can get you some information if you want. I've encouraged them to read the Quran. It's not working at the moment, but hopefully it will one day. So you've encouraged me. Thanks very much to continue my approach.
Yeah, so Jimmy, mashallah, I think you're already doing very well. Brother Jas, Assalamu alaikum. Mashallah, looking
Walaikum
great.
assalam. Sorry for being late, guys.
No, that's fine. You're looking great, mashallah. How are you feeling? How's today been? Has it been okay?
Today's been better than yesterday. Alhamdulillah, there's a good change here. So
you've had some different changes in your medication and stuff, haven't you?
Yeah, a little bit of a transition. No.
Okay, inshallah.
It made it worse for a couple of days. But you know how it is. I just have a question for Jimmy. Has Jimmy ever taken his parents or his elders to a mosque or anything like this?
Assalamu alaikum, brother Jas. No, I haven't. I think it'd be a bit too radical for them, to be honest with you. A radical suggestion, I should say, to take them to a mosque. But the thought hadn't really occurred to me. It might be a very good idea, actually.
One of those well-advertised mosque open days, right? So they can see it for themselves. Because here's the thing. They might say no to you, but if they see other people going who are non-Muslim, so maybe offer to take them as a group with their friends or something, right? Something like this just to get them in the door. Because the physical presence of being in a mosque, that is already going to disarm a lot of what they think. Because they're going to be looking around the corner. Like, this might take you back a couple decades, but have you ever heard of the terrorist fist jab, right? Where Barack Obama bumped fists, I think, with someone, and Fox News branded it a terrorist fist jab, right? And you think about that, and technically that's what your elders might be thinking. Oh, that's terrorist bow. That's what they're going to be looking for. But when they're there and they're like, okay, it's a bunch of pipes and some carpets, it's good. That's going to be disarming in and of itself. So just see if they might come. They don't have to. Invite them, make it a frequent invite, or offer to bring them with a group of friends and see what happens, because maybe they don't feel threatened if they're in a larger group. But yeah, I've seen that work wonders. If that doesn't get them in the door, they do masjid virtual tours, right? So they don't physically have to go in, but if they can see it online, again, that can maybe disarm some of their thinking. The last thing, if you can't get them to watch it digitally or go in physically, is, I'll just be honest with you, get a VR headset and let them take the VR virtual tour. I've seen that work wonders as well. But yeah, those are just my 3 ideas, and I hope something works out for you, man. I could hear like the really strong concern in your voice. May Allah help you with the situation.
Thank you very much. Yeah, those are actually very good suggestions. I think I'm going to try it. I'll try it separately with my parents to begin with. I mean, what I've tried to impress on my family, because my family are secular and they're well-meaning, but if they've got a headache, they'll go to the chemist, and if they've got a problem in their personal life, they'll look for secular solutions, such as therapists and things of that kind. And I tell them, and they often pay, and I tell them Islam is free. Well, free is in, the Quran is free. Allah is not asking anything from us other than our devotion and a bit of zakat. But I mean, that's a lot more affordable than some of these therapies and therapists and nonsense. And they're well-meaning, but my family are the sort who will read a Sunday magazine and hear about this life coaching course and then shell out 500 quid for it. And I'm telling them, look, give £480 in zakat and go and buy a Quran for 20 quid, and you'll never need the therapy, life coaching again. It's, to me, it really is the solution to every ill, even the physical ones.
Something just occurred to me. I could recommend to you 2 life courses right now for your parents. Brother Abbas and Dr. Imran. They have coaching works, which they do I mean, I think that's a possible angle there. Forgetting the money aspect of it, but these are life coaches here with us right now. Maybe you can say you got like a gift card, or you got like a tryout with 2 wonderful life coaches that you met. Who knows what that can do?
Yeah, Jimmy, if that would help, I'd be happy to do it for free, because when it's to do with Islamic things, I don't charge for that. So if if you think that they might want to talk to a Muslim and ask questions, including questions that they might feel are provocative, or potentially sort of like even derogatory type of questions that they've heard about Islam or whatever, I'd be happy to engage with them, and it'd be a very friendly discussion. Of course, not a debate or anything, but the main thing, Jimmy, is that
but Brother Abbas, emphasize that you're a life coach, that they can come to you.
So Jimmy, I qualified as a Islamically integrated life coach, and I was doing life coaching, not life coaching, but coaching for about 1.5 years voluntarily with Sapiens before that as well, and they did a few little courses with them as well.
Can we put up the website?
Yeah, I mean, I think probably Sister Ira might put up the. She has. Bella, bless her. So okay, that's the coachingworked.com is the actual the web address, and it will certainly not be, even if anyone wants to have coaching that's to do with career or moving or stress or procrastinating or anything else, it certainly won't be anywhere near £500, Jimmy. So be rest assured, it's a hell of a lot cheaper than that. But Jimmy, look, the thing is, one of the first things I would say to you, my brother, is understand where this anxiety, these derogatory comments, this negativity is coming from. Okay, there are decades worth of propaganda that people have grown up with, and Allah blessed you to Islam, but there may well have been a time, Jimmy, that you yourself may have had very negative thoughts about this religion of Islam and Muslims, right? Because in England, I mean, we have that saying, and I'm sure it exists in other countries as well, but there's no smoke without fire, people say. And so when they see billowing smoke, they assume that at least some of it must be true, right? And unfortunately, that has been something that has been a concerted effort that has been made within Europe and America to sort of, to see Islam as this very medieval, archaic, oppressive, chauvinistic, lacking equality or any form of equity, bad for society. It's basically just it's portrayed as a rotten religion with everything evil and everything bad. And I remember having a conversation with an American lady, and when she found out I was Muslim, she said, "Oh God, why would you, out of all of the religions, why would you choose that one?" Because in her view, this was like the worst that you could possibly be as a Muslim. And so that's what I wanted to say to you, first of all, is understand that these derogatory comments are just regurgitated. They're just being repeated. They're just being by an environment that has been orchestrated and created for them to be brainwashed effectively. People don't like to hear that. People like to feel that they're intelligent and they're able to be very level-headed. The reality, Jimmy, is that people aren't. People just don't have the time. And often what happens is we all suffer from what's called confirmation bias, Jimmy. So if we already have some negative feelings about Islam, then we're more likely to believe any negative sentiment that we hear. It just feeds our predispositions, and that feeling of negativity just grows and grows and grows. And it takes someone, mashallah, Allah bless you, Allah nurtured you, Allah created you in that way, where you said, actually, I want to find out what exactly is this religion and what do they believe. And so you were, mashallah, like many others in Europe and in America, and of course, many other parts of the world as well, who've discovered Islam. And one of the biggest things that you hear converts, I would say, is that I'm angry because of the lies that I was told about Islam, that they lied to me about all of these things and they just weren't true. So does that sort of resonate with you, Jimmy? Do you appreciate that sort of programming that's gone on?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You speak the truth there, Brother Abbas. And I mean, I've had very negative feelings towards Islam and Muslims in the past, which I'm quite ashamed about, to be honest with you. But I know Allah has forgiven me.
Of course, of course.
But I had them, and my parents, for example, you know, I remember my mum once introducing me to a colleague of hers at work, and my mum said, "Oh, you know, this lady, where'd she come from? Afghanistan. I think it was Afghanistan. It might have been Iran." And my mum said she's now separated from her husband. Her husband used to beat her up and all this sort of stuff. And I can look back on it now and see that that's got into my mum's head, that, you know, Islamic husband equals wife beater, you know, this kind of thing. I remember another time, years and years ago, my dad introduced me to someone that he'd also met at work, and it was a friend, and it was a lady from and she was also a refugee from Iraq, I think, and she was drinking and smoking and talking about how great it was to be in Britain because now she can drink and smoke, which is her right. And I have to be honest, she was quite a drinker, and even in those days I drank alcohol, but she outpaced me and my dad. And they've met, their experience of Muslims tend to be this sort of person, the person who's come from another country. They've pretty much abandoned their Islam, or they've had a terrible experience, and that's all that they're hearing. So yeah, they've been conditioned, whether they know it or not. Yeah, they have been conditioned.
So the reason why I'm saying that to you, Jimmy, is that might in itself help you to deal with a situation where it's not that they're mean people or they're bad people or they're saying horrid things that makes them horrible. Not that I'm sure you're thinking that, but at times people can become frustrated and angry at these type of comments, because obviously anything that you value, that you love yourself, when it is attacked, it feels very personal. And of course, as a Muslim, when we hear these lies, this deception, or even when something is true, when a Muslim behaves badly, for example, it really hurts, because you think Islam is not in need of this type of behavior or these type of things, you see. So it will hopefully help you to maybe reframe that initial contact when they do say something negative. The other thing that you might want to do, and I think you've already suggested one thing, which is actually something I was going to suggest. So I would say great minds think alike, but I don't think I can qualify for that. So I think your great mind, mashallah, has thought about that, which is that having some sort of leaflets or books or things that are ready. The other thing is you can have certain questions that are not aggressive, that are not argumentative, but allow you to deal with the situation in a way that hopefully makes them reflect. So one of the questions you could ask is, would you still say that if it wasn't true? Right? And now the issue is, Jimmy, that they can only go two ways with this. They can either say it is true, and then you can say, well, can I show you something to hopefully enlighten you in terms of why it's not true? So you've now introduced material. Could be a link for a video, could be a leaflet, could be a book or whatever. If they say, well, no, of course, if it wasn't true, I wouldn't say that, then you can say, you know, I've got a leaflet, I've got a link for a video that actually explains that in quite a lot of detail. Would you be interested to just have a quick look at that? Now, in both, you see, when you ask questions like that, Jimmy, both of the answers that they could potentially come up with, you can introduce material, whether it's a leaflet or a video. So do you think that might be helpful, Jimmy?
Yeah, that's a very, very wise approach. Yeah, I think I will definitely try that. I've kept my cool, as I mentioned. I'm not the kind of, I'm 51. I'm not the kind of guy who shouts at his 85-year-old mum and dad. No. treat them badly. That's just not me. But I think that's a very, very wise approach. A few little challenging questions, but put softly, and in a conciliatory tone. That's pretty much what I'm doing at the moment, but I'm telling them to sort of read themselves rather than get into a big argument.
The other thing is, Jimmy, when things get perhaps a little bit more heated, or they're really being disrespectful, you're finding it really uncomfortable, then it might be a good idea just to remind them, look, I'm your brother, I'm your son, and I really love you and I value you in my life. But if I was disrespectful towards what you believe, or you yourself, in the same way that you're disrespectful towards me, what would you do? If I treated you this way, what would you do? And it's a really powerful question, because first of all, you're saying, look, I love you. You're my sister. You're my brother. You're my mum. You're my dad. And there's nothing more important than family. And in Islam, we're not allowed to break family ties. We can't break blood ties, even if we want to. We're not allowed to just completely break them off. Of course, if somebody's super abusive, where, God forbid, there's some sort of sexual abuse or something, there's danger involved, then you're not supposed to place yourself into that dangerous position. But for most things that are just what normally occur within families, you would not be able to break your blood ties. So telling them that, look, I love you, you're my mum. But if I were to talk to you in this way all the time and be disrespectful towards you, what would you say to me, mum? What would you do? And it just maybe makes the person think a little bit. And they might not necessarily be able to come up with an answer there and then, or they may just argue with you. But I think it will leave a seed, and hopefully they will think about it later on. And the last thing I would say is, rather than give them leaflets and books, just have them lying around sometimes. So when they go and sit on the sofa, when they go and sit on the sofa, oh, what's this thing he's left here? You know, and maybe it could be something really, really sweet, like there's a little booklet with the sayings of the Prophet, peace be upon him. I think I've got it on my bookshelf just behind me. And it's just got little sayings of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And the sayings are obviously everything the Prophet, peace be upon him, said was beautiful, but they're very beautiful and impactful. The best of you men are those who are best to their wives, best to their women. Sadaqah, charity, is even moving a stone, an object from the road. All of these type of very beautiful, they're very poignant, very powerful things. And it's simple, just one-liners on each little sort of page, you know. So those type of things. But how do you think these things that we've discussed today, how do you think these things might help you, inshallah?
Yeah, very much. Thank you very much, brothers. No, they will help a great deal. I'm going to start them from tomorrow, and then hopefully I can talk to you on another occasion and let you know my progress. But yeah, they're
Jimmy,
very
before
good,
we forget, we forgot the most important thing, of course, which is dua. Pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya Allah, open their hearts, soften their hearts, bless them with iman, and cry to Allah, say to Allah, please, I want to save my parents. I want my parents, to be saved. Please open their heart up. Please open their heart. Please open their heart to Islam. And sometimes, Jimmy, the more they perhaps are giving you digs, it's so difficult, I know, but be super kind. Be super kind to your mum. Like, the next day, go around, mum, can I get you a cup of tea? Would you like to go out? Whatever it might be, Jimmy. Even things that she might not expect you to do. And then she might even turn around and say, what's the matter with you? What's happened? Then you can say, well, mum, in Islam, it says paradise lies beneath the feet of your mother. So serve your mother. Be kind to your mother. Be merciful. Lower the wing of humility, of humanity to your mother, to your parents. And so you can bring in little teachings like that, because of your kindness, because of your good actions, inshallah. But inshallah, may Allah bless you, may Allah give you patience and sabr. It's very easy for us to talk and say all of these things. you're actually living it, and it is going to be tough. Just be kind to yourself. If you slip up, you make a mistake, you get a bit angry sometimes, you get upset, inshallah, go away and do better next time. Don't hold yourself to too high a standard either. Just strive to be excellent, but know that you will actually never be perfect. That's the key, I think, to take away as well.